Good morning students. So today in this video we will discuss about the second chapter of engineering material, that is ferrous materials and alloys. So first we will discuss about the characteristics of ferrous material. Already we have decided and discussed that the metal is divided into two types. One is ferrous, the other is non-ferrous. So what is a ferrous material? The main constituent of ferrous material is iron. So iron is the main constituent of ferrous alloys. Carbon, sulfur, manganese and phosphorus may exist in different proportion in different ferrous material. Iron, steel and other alloys of iron are known as ferrous material. So what are the characteristics? Composition is, the main constituent is iron, and steel and other alloys is included in ferrous material. So characteristics, they have good tensile strength and durability. Ferrous materials are magnetic in nature. These materials are good conductor of heat and electricity. Ferrous materials have high resistance to shear deformation. They are prone to rust. So advantage is they have good tensile strength and they are durable, magnetic in nature, good conductor of heat and electricity, as well as these materials have high resistance to shear deformation. But disadvantage is they are prone to rust. So next, what is steel? Steel is most commonly used ferrous material. In case of steel, the percentage of carbon is up to 1.5%, and this carbon is in the combined form. In other words, steel is an alloy of iron and carbon, where carbon content is up to 1.5%. This steel, where only iron and carbon present, is known as plain carbon steel. There are different varieties of steel. In other form of steel, along with carbon, other alloying elements are also included. But the steel where only iron and carbon present is known as plain carbon steel. So now we will discuss about classification of plain carbon steel. The plain carbon steels are classified into different groups. These groups are depending on the percentage of carbon. So one is low carbon steel. Low carbon steel is again divided into dead mild steel and mild steel. In workshop you have already used mild steel, which you say MS, MS flat, MS rod. So this mild steel is nothing but an alloy of iron, where only iron and carbon present. Other form of plain carbon steel is, second one is medium carbon steel, third one is high carbon steel. So plain carbon steel is a alloy of iron and carbon. Depending on the percentage of carbon, this plain carbon steel is of three types: low carbon steel, high medium carbon steel and high carbon steel. So low carbon steel is again divided into dead mild steel and mild steel. So you can summarize the classification of plain carbon steel as plain carbon steel is divided into three types, that is low carbon steel, medium carbon steel, high carbon steel. Again low carbon steel is divided into dead mild steel and mild steel. So what are the composition? As you know, plain carbon steel is an alloy of iron and carbon. So the two constituents and only two constituents are iron and carbon. So in case of dead mild steel, the carbon percentage is less than 0.15. So rest is iron. In case of mild steel, the carbon percentage lies between 0.15 to 0.3. Rest is iron. In case of medium carbon steel, carbon content varies from 0.3 to 0.8%. Rest is iron. In case of high carbon steel, carbon percentage varies from 0.8 to 1.5%. Rest is iron. So in case of steel, the percentage of carbon is less than 1.5%. So if it is less than 0.5, then it is dead mild steel. If it is in between 0.15 to 0.3, then it is mild steel. From 0.3 to 0.8, medium carbon steel. From 0.8 to 1.5, it is high carbon steel. So what are different application of steel? So first one is dead mild steel, where the percentage of carbon is less than 0.15%. This is used for welded and solid drawn tubes, thin sheets and wire rods. Mild steel, it has tremendous use. Forging, stamping, structural section such as angles and channels, plants for boilers and ships, bars and rods, wires, tubes and castings. So mild steel has huge uses in different fields. Next is medium carbon steel. Medium carbon steel is used for drop forging, boiler drums, marine shafts and axles, rotors and discs, agricultural tools and implements, aero engine cylinder, high tensile tubes and wires, bright drawn bars, castings for automobile engine components, laminated spring for automobiles, helical springs, locomotive tires, wire ropes, steel spokes, clutch plates, large forging dies, hammers and snaps for pneumatic riveters. So this is the application of medium carbon steel. Next, high carbon steel. High carbon steel percentage of carbon is from 0.8 to 1.5. So with different percentage of carbon, it has different application. So high carbon steel having 0.8% carbon used for springs, shear blades, wood chisels, cold sets, hammers, small forging dies, boiler makers tools. With 0.9% carbon, it is used for cold chisels, cold working dies, punches and dies. With 1% carbon, springs, broaches, drifts, reamers. 1.1% carbon, press dies, punches, milling cutters, anvils, taps, woodworking tools. 1.2% carbon, taps, drills, screwing dies. With 1.3% carbon, files, razors, metal cutting tools for lathe, planer and slaughter, mandrels and drawing dies. 1.4 to 1.5% carbon is used for lathe tools for machining harder metals, gauges, engraving tools. So, in a nutshell, we will discuss about this as plain carbon steel is an alloy of iron and carbon. Depending upon the percentage of our carbon, it is categorized into various forms as they have different field of application.